Hello plant community, thanks for tuning in to this channel. My name is Pam and today's video, you guys, is going to be about euphorbias, why I love them so, and the things that I do to make sure that they stay happy and healthy. So if this seems like one of those videos that you may be interested in, stay tuned. You definitely don't want to miss out on this one. Okay guys, so before we get into talking about euphorbias, I decided to bring it up into this conversation because one, I absolutely suck at growing succulents. They're just not thriving in my environment. And I feel like with euphorbias, they are like the very perfect introduction to anyone that may want to start their journey growing perhaps cacti and succulents. I love euphorbias a lot because they are so versatile. They come from standing up cacti looking specimens. We have bushes and shrubs and all types of other features about them that I think make them a very cool and interesting plant. Also too, once you get them growing and going and they start growing and being thriving, you don't really have to put that much effort into these plant babies. And we could, that kind of depends on the types, but we can talk about that a little bit later. But for the most part, from what I've experienced with the ones that I have in my collection, it's been pretty easy care. So I'm going to go over some of the care tips of what I've noticed that works for me. So let's just dive right into it. Before we start talking about the tips, if you don't have any euphorbias at home, please keep in mind, you guys, that these plants are, that genus of plants is toxic. So keep that in mind if you have fur babies and curious little toddlers roaming around in your home. Be mindful of that. And it's also good to know that as well if you decide you want to propagate any of these plants, because of sometimes the sap that they produce can be toxic. So yeah. Anyway, this plant, particular species or genus of plants, have like so many different varieties, like over at least 2,000 different species in this genus. And I only have right now a very small collection, but I wanted to share them with you. And then we'll talk a little later about a couple of them that I have on my list that I would love to acquire. So let's jump into humidity. These plant babies, for the most part, will thrive or do fine off of your average humidity in your home. It's not like they're asking for you to bump up the humidity. At least it hasn't been in my experience, maybe with the exception of one. And I'll go in and talk to you a little bit about that one later. The actual temperature, of course, it could be the average temperature in your house. They are tropical in nature, so they do prefer temperatures no lower than probably 65 degrees Celsius, between the 65 and 85 degree range. Now, having said that, let's go into lighting. These plants love bright and indirect light. Some plants, however, can also take on maybe about 5 or 6 hours of direct light. An example being, you guys, would actually be this Euphorbia Millie ghost. This plant is gorgeous, you guys. You know, this is one of my newly acquired plants that I've just added to my collection. I haven't had her for any longer than maybe 2 months at best. But because, of course, all this beautiful ghostness that she's doing, you can understand why she would require full intensity of light, and she would do fine in it. But she's beautiful, you guys. Just take a look at the tips. The tips of the plant is even white. I really love the structure. Pretty cool plant. Next, we want to talk about fertilizing. Now, fertilize your plants when they are growing. That's my motto. But particularly in the growing season, they do very well with fertilization. You could probably fertilize them maybe once every 2 weeks in the growing season or when they're growing. Now, granted, if you live in a climate where you're able to grow these babies outside in your ground, part of your landscaping, and of course, you know, off the bat, it's not required for you to have to fertilize that often because they are free to roam and gather all the nutrients from Mother Earth. So you won't have to worry about that. When it comes to actually propagating, as I said, the plant is toxic, so it depends on your toxicity level. You may want to handle with care as far as gloves. So let's take this lactate ghost for example. Here you can use some sharp scissors or a sharp knife where you can do a clean cut across. So for example, you guys, if I wanted to actually, now I've never actually propagated any of my euphorbias because I really like the way that they're growing right now. If I wanted to try to change the structure or the shape of the way that they grow, then I may want to do that in the future. But right now they're kind of like more or less aesthetically pleasing with some of the varieties that look like this. So let's say, for example, and I'm turning it around so you can actually see. Let's see, I wanted to, because I could actually, this whole structure right here would make a great base plant. So if I wanted to, I could actually take a clean, sanitized shears and cut straight across. And I would let this callus over. Honestly, you guys, I would let it callus over overnight for just good measure. Before potting her up. And this, and cutting it here, what it will do for this portion right here is it will force it to grow probably a branch here and a branch there. So it would more or less just continue the growth pattern that you see right here. More likely than none, the way that you're seeing this plant right here, I'm quite sure the bottom of this was cut, and it could very well encourage these brackets to grow as well. Or if you wanted to just start like a small baby plant, you could just take the tip, like for example, this little piece right here, you could actually just cut it off right here and do the same process you would allow it to callus over before potting it up. Now, speaking of potting it up, let's talk about the soil. Now, traditionally, they would say to use your regular succulent or cacti soil for here, but I don't have cacti or succulent soil, so I kind of make my own. And you just want to make sure that whatever soil mixture you are creating, that is very airy and coarse in nature. So they would recommend people use sand. I've never used sand in my mix. So I'm not 100% sure about the benefits of sand, but perlite is just as good. So usually what I do for my mix for here is I will put a lot of perlite in my mixture. Sometimes I will add a little bit of orchid bark in my soil just to add that extra drainage. If you don't have orchid bark, like I said, it's not like the thing to do. I feel like as long as you have perlite, and to make it really airy, for me, I would do more of like a 60-40, 60% soil, 40% of perlite, just for my comfortability level, because I know I can be a heavy waterer at times, and I have to be mindful of that when I create my soil. Another tip, you guys, that I really want to recommend too is because these plant varieties, and we're going to get into this, are so versatile, some requirements may not be the same for each and every plant. We're going to about to show you guys something in regards to that. So if you have your eyes on a particular species of euphorbia, do your due diligence and do your research. You want to make sure if you have the proper lighting in your home, if you have the proper temperature, just the proper overall habitat, so to speak, for your babies to grow and thrive. You just want to be mindful of that. Now, last thing that I wanted to speak on is watering. Now that I said that, what I'm finding out is watering these babies are not the same. The beautiful part about euphorbias, however, is you can pretty much sit and forget. But there are a little bit of plants here and there that I'm finding out that may need a little bit more water. But you want to keep in mind, the main thing I can recommend for any and all plant parents, you guys, honestly, is really understanding the lighting and watering ratio. And what I mean by that is how much light your plant is getting, how much energy is being used from the light for the plant, will help you determine how often we should water her. And sometimes they will speak to you with that. Now, in regards to, I keep bringing her up here, my lactate, I would not water her until she is completely bone dry. I'm also going to put her in this terracotta pot. You want to stay away from putting them in any form of glazed pot. You want to put them in something that's going to offer a lot of drainage as well as whisking away the moisture. And I feel like for my euphorbias, particularly these structure euphorbias, putting them in a terracotta pot for me is the way to go. Now, currently, like I said, I don't have her. See if I can pull her out because it's tight in here. I don't know if I'll. Okay. I've only had her for, like I said, 2 months possibly. And when I purchased her, she was in this clear pot. So right now, currently, I have her sitting in here. And unless she declines, honestly, you guys, I'm not going to move her out of here. And I'm a little bit concerned. I don't want to transport her just yet because we're kind of dwindling out of the growing season and we're getting ready to go into dormancy period. So I don't want to do anything that could cause harm or possibly shock her. So as long as she's fine, and I don't plan on watering her that often at all, honestly, with these babies, because I want to. I'm talking about watering maybe like once every 6 weeks at best, especially as we start getting into the winter temperatures. I don't plan on doing that. So because I plan on watering her that often, so because of that, I'm fine with leaving her in this plastic pot because she's not going to get that much moisture. And they are extremely drought tolerant, which is why I really love them. So, and not only that, because they are succulents, they look like cacti. So it's like a win-win. You get like 2 species of plants, in my personal opinion, in one, depending on the actual variety. Now, with the watering, of course, you say you let it completely dry out. But speaking of watering, I'm about to show you this plant, you guys. Fun fact, you guys, did you know that poinsettias are a euphorbia? I did not know that, and I was really surprised. They are part of the Euphorbia family, which actually makes them part of a euphorbia, which is crazy because this plant, this is my, I'm about to call it euphorbia. This is my poinsettia that I've had for 2 years. Now brace yourself, guys. She's not in the best of conditions, but we're going to talk about the reason why. Okay, so she's not too bad. She's lost a lot of leaves. She's nowhere near as full as she was when I had her, you guys. Honestly, like I said, I've had her for almost going on 2 years. I brought her like almost 2 Christmases ago, and of course she lost all of the color that she had when we first buy them around the Christmas holiday. And I was going to actually trash it, and I said I didn't want to trash it. I really wanted to try to make sure that I could keep her, you know, going and growing and thriving. But what I've noticed is this girl right here, she needs that water. So she is different from all the other varieties of euphorbias that I have. She requires way more water, and I feel like a little bit more. I mean, well, they all require a lot of light, but she really requires a lot of water. So if you decide you want to have poinsettias grow into your home throughout the course of the year, I'm not quite sure if you're able to get blooms of color. I know that they can bloom like little buds, but I'm not sure about the color. I don't think so. So if you don't mind them being all green, which I don't because I say less says more for me, I'm fine with it. Now, what I have done before to actually get the leaves back, I didn't start doing it yet. Sometimes when I transition from growing season into fall and winter, I do notice that I experience with her a lot of the dropping of the leaves. She is not really forgiving when it comes to miswatering, dropping of the leaves. Everything that she doesn't like, she's dropping of the leaves. That's all she does, right? Right, Mama? She's saying yes because, you know, we've been hanging around each other for a minute now, and we know what the situation is. So, so what I do, you guys, is you see these like indentations right here. It's actually nodes. And believe it or not, if you take a spray bottle, that's what I've done. I've done in the past to make her fuller. And I'm planning on actually doing it again because I have her underneath of one of my grow lights inside my living room where she's getting adequate lighting. Every so often I will just spray these stems And before you know it, she will start growing little flowers. I mean, little leaves, and she will be full before you know it. I actually had cut her because there was a branch right here, you guys. I wanted to see if I was able to cut her and put her in water to propagate, because the branch was like way tall, and it was it was taller than this, and I kind of wanted it to stay in this formation. So that was one of the reasons why I cut it, but I also cut it because I wanted to test to see if in fact I would be able to propagate her in water, and unfortunately it wasn't successful at all. So for the most part, yeah. And I've never took her out of the mix that she's in. She's in a very like fine mix, and I don't know, I may have to give her some, I might have to give her fresh soil coming up soon. I'm not sure. She's been in this pot. This is an old Costa Farm pot that I put her in, but I didn't, she didn't come into this. She came into this pot. Never changed her out since I've had her. So she very well it may be time for her to, do it. But I really love the leaf. The leaf color is very beautiful in my personal opinion. And, maybe a lot of people aren't a fan of poinsettias, and maybe they are just for the colors for the season, and then they're ready to do away with it. That's up to you. That's your personal choice, your aesthetic. You're growing your plant in your home any way that you want to. For me, I appreciate that plain green leaf. So now, you guys, we are in the fun part of the video. To me, it's just me sharing my very small collection. Y'all already probably, for the most part, seen the collection here and there. And I'm going to try to start, honestly, you guys, with probably my biggest and work with my smallest, because I definitely want to pay homage to this one. I'm about to show you her, and I'm going to pick her up. But before I show her, you guys, please enjoy this visual aid, because I don't think moving forward, if I do decide to like spotlight her again, y'all going to probably see it in an extra footage or something, because she's getting too heavy for me to move around. And that is my Euphorbia. She is heavy. Variegated and Mac. You guys, she's not only heavy because she's in, I don't even know if I can lift it to show you guys. Let's see. She's in this terracotta pot. She's getting extremely tall. If I put her on the floor, you guys, she's almost at my hip. I love the way that she's growing. She really took off since I've had her. It's almost going on, wow, 2 years really since I've had her. And she's just, I don't know, she's such a beautiful plant, you guys. Like, honestly, look at that. I love the color. Like, she's a little bit different from the Lactate Ghost. I'm just going to put them side by side so you guys can see in comparison. It's like, this is pure white with the subtleness of the green. And she has white with subtle of green and look like yellow. And when I put her outside, she will do those beautiful subtle little white flower specks. But I really love her. I'm not sure if I want to chop her. I may want to actually try that and like put her in a bigger pot, chop a portion of her to see if I can force the branching out on the side. But right now, I kind of like her standing up tall. How much longer I will be able to hold her or keep her tall, I'm not sure. I may have to use a stake over time, but I guess we'll figure it out as we go along the journey here, right? Ooh. She's heavy, and then you also have to be careful of the thorns, right? So this one right here, of course, is a Euphorbia as well. Like I said, they come in bushes and things like this. She is really getting Like, guys, she's getting out of control. She's very beautiful. This is the Devil's Backbone. When I first purchased this plant, she is also another plant I think I've had for maybe slightly a little bit over 2 years. And when I got her, she probably wasn't no taller than maybe, say, like 8-10 inches tall. So, and I had her growing initially in my windowsill in my kitchen, and she's just been taking off. I love this plant so much because I'm bringing her up close so you guys can appreciate the beauty that I admire about this plant. You see how she has the subtleness of the pink here? I love that about her when she gets the proper lighting. So it's like a beautiful contrast of, you get light green, beautiful streaks of cream white, and then it tops it off with that subtleness of a hue, of a pinkish hue. Very beautiful. I really love actually the formation and structure of its stem. Now, the only challenge that I've been having with this plant, you guys, is because this past growing season was the first year that I actually put her outside, and it really bumped her up tremendously. She loved being out there. As you can see, I mean, she really looks like she would be very good. You know, if I lived in a warm climate, I would definitely add her into my landscaping. Honestly, this plant is absolutely gorgeous. Now, she will lose a lot of leaves for me. What I've noticed with her transitioning in here, she has lost some of her leaves down at the bottom. Believe it or not, even though her stem is kind of thick and in most cases potentially able to hold water, I've noticed that I've been watering her a little bit more often than I should. And it's probably because in here, so far, it's been very, very warm in here, which is cool. Now, granted, we are in the month of November already, but we have not had really cold temperatures on these past couple of days. It's been pretty warm. And in here, it can really get to, I'm looking at it right now, like currently in this room, you guys, is like almost like 78 degrees. So, and she sits up by the window. For the most part, all of my euphorbias is either as close to these windows in here as possible, and then the ones that I have growing inside my home is really getting a lot of supplemental lighting through my grow lights. But I really, really do love her. My next one is another one that I put outside. I've had her for, she's about to go into the 3rd year with me, and this is my African milk tree. You guys, she is such a beautiful plant. I just love the way that she's growing. I don't even want to do anything with her because she's branching out on her own, which is crazy because I want to say this whole branching right here happened over the summertime. Just started going on. And what I've noticed is, if I don't even know if the camera is actually going to pick it up, but she is still growing a little bit, you guys, even though I brought her back from outside. I kept her in my front porch. I really love the little, you know, it's not showy flowers, but pretty cool little flat flowers. And if you see the transition in shade of color, you see how it's dark here and then it's light. All where you see the light color, because I can feel it right now, it's very soft. That's new growth, and she's pretty much have that on the majority of the top tips of all of the ones around here. I have her in this black pot with this pretty stone. I really, really love her. She grows inside my living room, and she's getting a lot of light from a grow light. So she's loving it, and I'm not mad at her for it at all. Now, my next one is also a newly acquired plant. This is my Euphorbia. Let me see if I have the pronunciation right. Cooperi. And I got it for the shape. The spear-like structure is, I don't know. I just really like the shape. I'm not going to lie. I love the shape and the color. I know that over time as it grows, it could possibly like twist a little bit. So it would be very interesting to see how she will grow. I think I've had her in my collection literally probably 2 months. She was bare rooted. And I put her in the soil. I just gave her her first drink. I was following the grower's instruction. I got this from an Etsy grower. Um, and I gave her a drink probably like 6 weeks after I put it in here. She did fine. So that goes to show they're also, like I said, extremely drought tolerant. So if you're one of those people that's on the go, have a busy lifestyle, but you want these beautiful aesthetics, I'm telling you, Euphorbia definitely is the way to go. As long as the key is to give them ample light. That is definitely the key. My next one right here is my Euphorbia chocolate drop. Now, this is another one that I transitioned in and outside of my home. Unfortunately for me, I've had this girl for about like 2 years. She really hasn't been doing a lot of growth for me. I don't know. I don't know why. But it doesn't matter to me because I kind of really like just the two little stems or sticks just hanging out together. Because I mean, in all actuality, if all of these euphorbias was to be tall as this Amac and my African milk tree one, boy, I wouldn't even know what to do with them. So I'm okay with her slow growth. I keep putting her outside though, so maybe she will. I really just love the structure. As you can see, I have a theme going on. I love those upright structures that give me that, like I said, that cactus vibe without, I don't know. It's just something about it that I really like. And I love the dark edges, which is why it's called, I think, chocolate drop, I believe. This one always managed to put a smile on my face, and I'm so upset that it took me a long time for me to actually get this plant, but I am glad that I have it, and that's my Euphorbia Millie, or Millie, I believe. This plant is gorgeous, you guys, in my personal opinion. I just love that leaf, the leaves. I love the beautiful flowers that it gives me, or blooms. Because this plant really brightens up the space on a gloomy day, brightens up the space when we're in dormancy with our plants where they may not be growing as much or you're not seeing multiple blooms. She is a continuous bloomer. I have her right there by the window and she loves it. But I noticed that I probably could pull her back away from the light a little bit. And I think she would adapt just fine. Since I've been just having her there, I've noticed that I do have to water her a little bit more often. I usually can tell by actually feeling the leaves. I can't really tell by looking at the stem. The stems are, thorny, which is why they call it crown of thorns, which is befitting for the name of this plant. I do try my best. And that's another thing you want to do too, guys, is sometimes they will have like some like this one, and the devil's backbone will have that falling dead leaves. You want to make sure that you definitely clean it up. You don't want to have anything like deceased laying around because they can possibly draw pests. Now, I didn't talk about pests because knock on wood, I have not had any experience with pests, but I do believe that they're common pests that euphorbias are known for having is spider mites and possibly mealybugs. And thank goodness I haven't had that experience on these plants, especially the ones that's in the sunroom, because I've been having some challenges with mealybugs on certain plants in here that I've been treating and constantly watching over. But thankfully, it hasn't never transpired onto this one. Now, my last one, you guys, is one that I also added new to my collection. And I'm trying to think of the name. This is the Euphorbia Spiralis. And it's just so cool. It's different from out of all of the ones that I have. This is a dangerously beautiful succulent. I mean, and I got, and at the time, honestly, you guys, I didn't know that this was a euphorbia. In me just actually researching this plant, because I try to do some form of research whenever I bring a plant home. That's when I discovered that it was actually a euphorbia. And I was like, oh, oddly enough, no wonder I was drawn to you from the moment we met. You captured me and hopefully I captured you. Let's take this thing to Broadway, you guys. I don't know. I can be silly, guys. I'm sorry. I can be silly. I can be really silly. Okay, but I really love her. Guys, look at this. So pretty. Look at the little babies. You see the little babies? But I mean, this one right here, if you have kids, man, you definitely need to have this sucker up away from your fur babies, because these spines is no joke. They are really sharp. And I don't water her a lot. I think I potted her up because she was actually one of them small ones. I put her in another little pot, and I put what you call it, the little granules, and just plop her up in here. And I can't even really remember the last time I watered her. So yeah, we're just gonna play this thing by ear. And as you can see here, the way for all the pups out here, I could just easily, carefully, probably with some tongs or something, like pull the pup off, let it callus over, and put it directly into some soil afterwards to make another plant if I wanted to. But this thing is gorgeous. I just even love the color of the spines. So yeah, so that's my collection. I wanted to share with you and show you. There's two plant varieties, you guys, that I actually wanted to share with you. And I hope that I'm not, you know what, I don't even know if I'm going to actually say the name. I think I'm just going to put it up on screen, and let's take a look. I don't know if this is Nuthii. Here I go trying to make an attempt to pronounce this word right. I think it's Nuthii or Nuthi or whatever the case is. I'm not sure, but guys, I really love this plant. I really want to try to get this plant in my collection. It's growing in so many different ways. It has like a codex depending on the type. There's some that's actually just hanging out of a plant, like as a hanging pot. Just not come across any, but I really like the bonsai look of it. Like, really, like, that is very beautiful. It's like drawing my eye. It's something different. I want to add the different ones into my collection. Not so many of them, but that one is really a unique one. And I'm on the lookout for that. I don't want to get, I've been on Etsy actually to see what the plant prices and sizes, and I don't want to get a small one. I want to get a nice, decent size one, and I haven't came across it yet. So yeah, wish me luck with finding that plant, because I really want to add that. I like the bonsai look. I think it gives it that plant gives it a tranquil vibe, in my opinion. My next one, you guys, I don't even think I'm going to pronounce it. I'm just going to put it on the screen here so you guys can see it. And the reason why I really like this plant, honestly, is because it is gorgeous. It gives me that tree-like shape. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Millie, but I don't know. It's really something about it. I love the tree-like structure. I mean, just look, if you're able to get a big specimen of that, it's just absolutely amazing. And I'm into the trees. I'm into, the tall shapes like you see here with my African milk tree. I'm just really into a lot of it. So yeah, so you can actually, if you want to see more in depth of what they actually look like, you could actually type the name into Google, and I'm quite sure you'll see a whole lot of them. But those are the two main ones that's on my list. I guess that's what, we're at the end of the video anyway. So I guess this is my earring way of saying that it's over. I don't know. But yeah, let me know, you guys, if you have euphorbias in your home. Do you have any of these? Or what kind you do have? If you are aware, because like I said, there's over 2,000 varieties of euphorbias. If you have one in your collection or know of one that you think would be cool, please let me know, because I'm intrigued. I'm really getting into this genus of plant, and I would love to share this part of my journey along with you guys. Just let me know what you think. So yeah, this is this video, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate talking to you guys. Keep in mind, if you love foliage as much as I do and you love listening to planty things, definitely subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Keep doing what I've been asking you guys, pushing those thumbs up. Keep pushing them up, 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 up and away, because it's been helping me out, and I appreciate that support. Your kind words mean the world to me. Enjoy your day wherever you are in the world, and until next time, guys, much love. Bye.